僕は山田が好きなんだ。
市川って面白いね。友達になりたい。マジキモい。先生に言ったことの何がごめんなの。言ってみて。市川んちは？市川にこれどう？知ってる。僕って言った。自分のこと。
Dangers in My Heart is one of those shows that physically hurts to watch, not because it's bad, but because of how much smiling you're gonna be doing. Every single episode feels like you're eating 15 warheads at once and adding 3 on top of each episode. And I can't remember the last show I've watched that has done this much physical and emotional damage to me. It's been so long since I've watched a romance where every episode feels like 2 minutes. Everything about this show is great. That being said, it does start off with a pretty rough few episodes. Ichikawa AMC is introduced as this weird guy that basically wants to kill everyone in his class, and he's introduced as this very cringy and laughable character. And he also just straight up stalks our female lead Yamada for the first 3 episodes without her knowing and comments on everything she does, which is a bit weird and a big reason why a lot of people probably dropped the series when it was first airing, including me, because it had a really bad impression and I didn't see it getting any better. But this series whacked the shit out of me. But before I get into that, let me say this. Romance is one of my favorite genres of all time, be that anime or any other medium. It's a genre I always find myself coming back to. When I first started off watching anime, just like a lot of other people, I strictly watched only shonen series, things like Dragon Ball, Hitman Reborn, and Hunter x Hunter, but I eventually branched off into other stories that were more slice of life, fantasy, psychological, horror, but when it came down to romance, it was always a bit different from the rest of them. I don't know what it is, but something about a good romance series resonates with me like no other genre can, especially the first couple of romances that I've watched. I think my first one was an anime called Kami-chama Karen, which came out in 2007, which was more than 15 years ago, so I can't tell you what it was about other than they had some big ass eyes, but I do remember it was my first introduction to romance anime, and that's when I really got into Shakugan no Shana, Maid-sama, Pekuro Sakuso, Golden Time, and all these really good stories. But there comes a time where this golden age of enjoyment comes to an end. When you're constantly watching the same things, it eventually gets repetitive and boring, and I feel like this applies to almost anything. It's just the natural way of how things go. So it's been years since I've watched a romance series that has really captured my emotions the same way it did when I first started off in the genre. That was until I watched Dangers in My Heart. And when I say that this was the last series I'd expect to do that, I really mean it came out of nowhere. You know, every season I tried to watch 1 or 2 romances, hoping that maybe this would be the one. And obviously 9 times out of 10, it turns out to be like all the other ones and pretty forgettable. But the thing about Dangers in My Heart is that it's just such a fun watch. Yes, it still has the same overused tropes that a lot of romances have, like the typical sickness episode where one party gets sick and the other person visits their house, the whole first name cliche, the drinking out of the same cup and indirect kiss scenario, the many misunderstanding cliches, the Valentine's and White Day episodes, and for some reason there's never a fucking school nurse when a student gets injured. Like, you're getting paid for what? What kind of fucking school has an entire room dedicated to medical services without a fucking doctor? Point being, yes, Dangers in My Heart follows the same exact formula we've been seeing for so many years, and it doesn't really try to do anything different in those areas. But what really makes this series one of the greatest romances to come out in a very long time is its pacing. Every single episode gets better and better, and that is no exaggeration. Ichikawa starts off as this really introverted person that can't even hold proper sentences, but as the series continues, he starts to open himself up. He slowly begins to communicate more, and he starts to build genuine relationships with the people around him, and all of this happens in a very natural way. It's not like one episode he's super shy and stuttering a bunch, and then next all of a sudden he starts talking like Eminem. That's not the case at all. there's a build up to Ichikawa's character in every single one of these episodes. You can slowly see his confidence going up as he gets more comfortable voicing his thoughts and emotions to the people around him rather than hiding them in a monologue to us. The romance between Ichikawa and Yamada is the definition of having to see something from start to finish, and it's such a nice refresher to see something like this in a romance show because that's what it really comes down to. And another thing I really love about this show is their use of melodramatic music with these really stunning shots that are just so goddamn beautiful, but it fucking hurts to watch because my heart feels like it's about to explode. If you guys have watched Dangers in My Heart, you guys know exactly what scenes I'm talking about because they're found in every single episode. When this title screen pops up, you know it's coming. A whole wave of emotions is about to hit and you just have to sit there and embrace it. They even add in small details like when Yamada and Ichikawa were having a screaming contest over text messages. Like how wholesome is that? There's also a scene in season 2 where you can see that Yamada still has the empty bottle that she shared with Ichikawa next to her window. It's really those small details that make Dangers in My Heart such a fun watch. Like I said before, the only bad part is I have to wait every single week for what feels like a 2-minute episode. Dangers in My Heart, it's fucking great.